Hey, good morning, everybody. Too bad my book talk, I can't do it combination of all my platforms at the same time. I know you're a little crooked. I'm in my house, I'm in my kitchen, and there. Now I'm centered. Happy horizontal. Ruth here. Did I say that? So, Book Talk Tuesday. This is the book we're discussing. I went over it on last Tuesday was the first time because I'm going to try to do this every single Tuesday. I'm going to do Book Talk Tuesday. So each month, hopefully, will be a different book. If I finish it earlier, then maybe we'll start a new book. But I'm trying to do it like each month. Now, I forgot to check off. This particular book I received from Sparkle, Hustle, Grow. And they give me a little thing to check off when I read the chapters. And so as of the 10th, I should be through chapter 4. Now, I've only read up to chapter 3, but I still have 2 more days to finish that chapter. I'm going to probably have to speed up a little bit because it's like a different date than whatever. Anyway, the point is, let's get to, I did chapter 1, 2, and 3. I didn't take notes. I think what I'm going to do is start taking notes so that when I come on here, I'll be able to discuss it more. Let me know if you've read this book. Let me know if you've watched last week's live and the book title is Time Magic. It's by Melissa Ambrosini and Nick Broadhurst. And I have yet to look up their podcasts. I meant to do that and I never did. So maybe after I get off here. Reclaim your time, reclaim your life. And it's more than just time management. That's what they said. So let me just go over chapters 1, 2, 3. Let me get back to chapter 1 and I'll kind of like just do a little. Okay. So I don't know if you want me to read what the chapter was. It says, why does it feel like I've got no time? So they kind of broke it down into like a pie and how much, which was very interesting. Like, so break your life down into a pie. And then what they did is they went into tasks. So if you see this picture, they broke it down to 79 pieces. So that's a very small portion for each thing. And then and the reason why it was 79 is it's because the average lifespan 79. Okay, so each year is a piece. That's what I meant to say. So that's average. They go into, obviously, some people live longer, some people less. And then they broke down from there into what you spend your time on. And out of the 79 years, so the examples are like sleeping, working, time spent on your phone, including social media, watching TV, domestic duties, eating, holidays and vacations, school, romance, including lovemaking, socializing, commuting, and exercise. And it is very interesting. And it says how many years, some of them are not years, but the most is sleeping, which I guess should be, right? And then and working. Those are the 2 highest, right? Well, actually, working is like pretty much, they're saying 26 years of sleeping and 13 years, 2 months of working. Isn't that crazy? So half of it, pretty much half, right? And then it's broken into percentages. Working and time spent on the phone, which I found interesting, were so close. How is that possible? I don't know, but it is. And then TV. Least exercising, commuting. Exercising is only 180 days. So anyway, so very interesting. If you're into statistics, that's kind of cool. Then from there, I should speed this up because I'm really going over. So this chapter was more about really explaining the time and how much we break it into, and then gave some examples. Like of how people are spending their time without realizing it. You have far more power than you may have realized, and your pie needs you to pay more attention. Your pie needs you to fight for it. So in other words, instead of wasting time, right? So I'm not even going to go into that. Then, still in that chapter, boy, this is going to take me forever if I really go over this. I think what I'm going to do next, after I read the next couple of chapters, I'm going to just take notes and then I'll read you my notes, because otherwise I'm going back and I'm like going through and it's like going to take too long to go to each chapter. But anyway, so I'll say, with all the data, this is what they say, with all the data and the stats we've shared so far, okay, the pie and all that, we've given you a partial answer to the question of why the heck does it feel like I've got no time? Well, if you read this, okay? So then it goes on to say, it's not just what we're doing that makes us feel like we've got no time. It's how we're doing those tasks and how we think and feel about them. So then they give you some how you feel. Time anxiety, feeling like you'd never have enough time. Productivity shame, intense guilt when we feel that we're convinced we haven't done enough. Okay, that's what productivity. So we got time anxiety. So, and then they go into more. Then the third one is continuous partial attention, FOMO, which is fear of missing out. So that term was coined, continual partial attention was coined in 1998 by tech writer Linda Stone, just in case. Okay, so fear of missing out. So this is different. Okay. Then we got, I don't want to go into all because I get that. Full to the brim. Full to the brim is, like when you, here, I'll give the example they gave. Years ago, if you were waiting online in a post office, the only choices you had available was to make conversation with the people near you, or just like wait and stare off into space. Nowadays, people, what do they do when they're standing online at the post office? If you even go to the post office, right? If you're my age, you go to the post office. They're looking at their phones, okay? They're doing, okay? So you're full to the brim. You're always doing. All right. So that was kind of the chapter 1. Chapter 2 is called a radical reframe. Yeah, I definitely don't like how I'm discussing this. So I will I've never been to a book club, by the way, so I don't know how book clubs do it. I guess I should attend a book club to see how they do it before I do this with you. But I'm learning as I go, and hopefully you'll get the gist of what I'm doing. All right. So the second chapter, now they're digging into mindsets. Okay, so there's time. Let me know if you've heard of these, and I have. Scarcity mindset. Well, they have two. I've heard of other things, but I've heard of scarcity mindset. So they're calling it a time scarcity mindset or a time magic time set. And then they give you like examples of where it's magic or scarcity. You can kind of get the idea that scarcity means you're always running out of time, whereas magic, you're using your time wisely, right? Just synopsis, okay? But it's more in depth. Then they go into growth mindset, which is what I've heard of. I've heard of the growth mindset. I guess it's growth and scarcity is the two that I've heard of. So they're telling you, the authors want you to adopt a growth mindset. I take that back. They do want you to do a growth mindset as opposed to a fixed mindset. Those are the two I heard of. I've heard of scarcity. I've heard of fixed. I've heard of growth. But there's some other things in here that are interesting as well. But they give you more information about it. So growth mindset is when, I'll read this right out of the book, you believe that your talents can be developed and improved, whether that's through dedication, working, learning, practice, or help from others. Fixed mindset is when you believe your talents are fixed, that you've got now. Fixed mindset is that what you've got now is what you'll always have, that your talents are gifts and that they're not changeable. Okay. So this is the magic mindset. They want you to have a growth mindset. They want you, or I'm saying the authors by they want you to think like an investor, which is, and they give you this, wealthy people think carefully about where they invest their money. They read books, spend thousands consulting experts, and weigh their choices carefully. Every dollar is invested consciously and deliberately, and then they can turn their dollars into millions. Time magic mindset asks you to do the same thing, but with your time. Okay? So that's think like an investor. Use your, read books, invest in yourself, and use your time wisely. Third one is stop creating debt. Guilty, okay? If you relate, don't worry. You're certainly not alone. Humans are notoriously poor at predicting how long it will take to complete tasks. In fact, this phenomena is common. It has a name, planning fallacy, coined by psychologist Daniel Kahneman and Amos Tversky. It's really important to understand this mental bias that we all have, because if you repeatedly succumb to planning fallacy, time debt is the only predictable outcomes. So again, we're talking about time debt. So think of how you treat debt. Are you also doing time debt? Are you creating a time debt? Or are you, sorry, there's a little bug flying around. So here's some ideas. Use a timer, ask someone, build a buffer. I'm just giving you a little synopsis, right? Okay, next. Take advantage of compound interest. You know what's so funny is that as I read this, and I read this a couple days ago, maybe even a week ago, isn't it funny how they're relating everything to like your finances, your debt, your compound interest, and all that? That's all. So if you know that with your finances, you can kind of think of it with your time. Compound interest was when is accrued, right? Your interest is accrued on the money, okay? I don't know why I'm talking with my hands. So let's give you some examples. How many people skip the last 5 minutes of their workout because they're tired? How many students stop paying attention to the last 15 minutes of class? How many people tell themselves just 5 more minutes when it comes to scrolling on their phones, playing video games, or collapsing on the couch? Consider how those tiny pockets of time can add up over the long haul. All right, next one. Watch your words, saying, I don't have time. There aren't enough hours in the day. I'm just so overwhelmed. I'm running late. I'm so disorganized, okay? Change your words. I always have time for what's important. I choose not to rush. I choose to take my time. I'm intentional about how I invest my time. I'm selective about what I say yes to. I'm learning to value my time more and more, and I'm improving every day. Okay, number 6, stop living on autopilot. Okay, and then they give you an example. I'm not even going to read that whole example. What can I say about autopilot? It's just like you just keep doing the same thing. You're not really being conscious of what is going on, right? All right, step 7. Take time now to make more time forever. If you've heard of return on investment, ROI, return on investment, imagine taking 1 hour to do something now that will free up dozens, hundreds, or even thousands of times later. So think about something before you do it. Time magic step number 8, mindset number 8. Look for reasons why, not why not. we want to acknowledge that there might be some suggestions in this book that may not at first glance seem like a good fit for you and your lifestyle. That's totally fine. Where we know there's no such thing as one size fits all, okay? And if something doesn't resonate with you, by all means, skip it. Here's how can I tweak this to make it work for me? What would this need to look like in order to fit my lifestyle? What's the underlying lessons I can learn here? How can I use my creativity to work around this? Okay, so that, now, chapter 3. I know, this is very weird, right? Very, very weird. But here we go. Part 2 is called Rabbits Out of a Hat. How can I reclaim my time? So in chapter 3, we go over priority planning, right? They give the examples like being in several committees, taking on extra projects and things like that. You have to prioritize them. What's most important, right? Have you ever heard, I think this is the chapter they discuss it, where you have rocks, small rocks, and sand, and they put it in a jug, and if you don't put it in the right order, and then you pour the water in at the end, and then it doesn't fit the water, but if you put it in the correct way, it does. So if you've heard of that analogy, which I'm not even going to go into, but I've heard it several times. I've heard it from several different places. I've seen it demonstrated, and then I've seen people talk about it. But anyway, that's just a brief understanding. So it's saying you take your big things first, right? You take your big things first. That's your priority. Then the smaller things you fit in there. And then the sand is the least thing, or the second to least thing, because it fits into all the grooves, and the water fills it all, right? So that's by what they mean by priority. Schedule the most important things first. Like you're going to have to schedule if you work a job, that has to be scheduled in, because you can't just not show up, right? And then it also goes into what is a priority. Like they ask, this is the question, and I'll save this so you can get the book, but I'm just going to say, first part they want to know, what is your priority? So what's important to me that I'm already doing regularly? For example, something with your physical health, your mental health, spiritual relationship, kids, pets, family, friendships, work, career, creative pursuits, fun, and greater purpose of life. So that's the first question they want you to answer. Which of those are you already working on? Then the second question is, what do I never seem to have the time but want to do regularly? So again, the same subjects: family, children, career, whatever, right? The same list. Oh, I'm so sorry. I got up very early to work out today, so I'm very tired. So you're going to take those two lists and see where you stand. Do you have a list of things that you want to put as a priority, but on the second list, you're not doing them? And somehow you got to move those in there. But obviously the book is going to go into more of that, obviously, because we're not even done. We're not even halfway done the book. But anyway, think about the things that are priority that you already work on, and the things that are priority but you don't work on, right? So let's say I work out. I really don't like working out, but I do want to be healthy, so I do work out. So I guess I've set that as priority. But I also feel, to get healthy, that I should eat better. I should follow my plan that I know I have prioritized in the past. And lately, this summer, I have not, right? So there you go. I have not kept it on it's a priority. I want to be healthy. I want to eat right. I want to, whatever. And then, but yet it's taken a back burner. Somehow, some way, I don't know what happened. Fun. I would love that be a priority, but obviously I don't really schedule it to be a priority. All right, does that make sense? Hopefully. Think about things in your life. So I'll tell you the things again: your physical health, your mental health, your spirituality, your relationships, your children, pets, family, friendships, work and career, creative pursuits. Gosh, you're not boring me, and I'm not boring myself. I'm just really tired for some reason. My sleep should be a priority. I went to bed early and I tossed and turned, so my sleep was not a good enough priority last night. Fun and my greater purpose, life purpose. Ooh, I think I'm going to go back to this chapter and rewrite it. I did write it quick when I read this, but I think I'm going to go back because my greater life purpose is definitely a priority, and I don't always do that one. All right. So that chapter goes into more scheduling, like the Big Rock thing I told you about. They have a whole writing about it, but I have heard that story several times. Just let me know if you've heard the Big Rock story. The big rocks go first, and then the smaller rocks, and then the sand, and the what. Let me know if you've heard that. If you haven't, just say, I have never heard of that, and then I will give you the person that originated it. They have it in here, but I forgot who created that whole thing. All right. Calendars, your new favorite tool for taking actions. I'd love to know below who has a physical calendar, or do you use a phone, or you don't do anything of the sort. I'm just curious. So they are saying, yes, a calendar is good. I have a calendar, I'll be honest. I don't always use my calendar. I mean, I kind of use it. And then actually I got this thing because I always had a calendar here when my kids were in school. And I was extremely busy back then. And I'll be honest, I don't know. I look back now, how the frig did I handle all the crap that they did and what I had to do too, being in PTA and all that other stuff and working full time. But I have my calendar up. I bought a new one. It's a whiteboard, and and then once I get a calendar, it has a corkboard below. I don't know if you can see that. Anyway, but besides that, I personally have a calendar in my pocketbook, and then I also have a bigger one, like a planner type thing. But anyway, let me know. Calendar. It is important. I mean, I know I said what this book was, but Time Magic has to include some kind of calendar, right? So they talk a little bit about the calendar and then about prioritizing the big rocks and such. What doesn't belong in your calendar, they say, is simple, is tasks and lists. That's not the same. Which I'll be honest, I guess I do that too. Like, so a list would be for today, doing this book talk. Though this is not a list. Okay, that's not. I'll say cleaning the living room, which I'm still working on. I'll say making dinner. I'll say, what else would be on my list for today? I guess like things like that. Like I have lists of like each thing I have to do. That's more like a task manager, not a calendar. Yes, doing this book talk, because this is taking a portion of my time. I have to schedule this on Tuesdays to do my book talk Tuesday. It's a priority to me. I want to do this. Am I doing it really good? No. Really well? Not really. But as the weeks go on, I'll get better, I'm sure. I'll get used to what I'm supposed to be telling you people. Like I said, never done a book club, but maybe I should have looked up how to do a book club, because that's kind of what this is, except for you haven't read the book. All right, so calendar, no tasks on your calendar. What else does it say? They're also recommending a journal to reflect. I do that, though I think I should set that as a priority, because I do like to do that, and I also like to do like gratitude journal at the same time. So I think that's going to do it. Now, one more thing about this priority planning for the week. And then I think that's it that I'm going to go over today. Your big rocks go first. Your job is going to be a big rock. Even if you don't like your job, it's a big rock. It takes up a lot of time, right? Time-sensitive commitments. I'm just saying. They give the example if like your child has soccer or something like that. Back in the day, mine would have been take my kids to dance, to football, to karate, to having my PTA meeting, board meeting, whatever, right? In addition to working full time. I think I used to be better at this than I am now. Crazy. When you're busier, you somehow work it out better. That's how I feel. Then after those priorities go in, you add any necessary extras. So use the common sense here and add as much detail. So then they have a few questions to ask yourself. I'm going to read them quickly. How do you feel seeing all your commitments laid out in front of you in concrete form? The more I think about this book, I have to think back because I was so much better at it years ago. All right. I loved it. I loved seeing what I had to do. It didn't really overwhelm me, even though there was so much on it. How do you want to feel when you're looking at your schedule? I personally want to feel not overwhelmed. Not overwhelmed. I want to see it as I can get this done and I feel good about it, right? That's what I want to feel. And I think that's how I felt. What, if anything, needs to change? So personally, if I felt overwhelmed, then I'd have to say, well, I got to get rid of some of the stuff on there, right? I had my children in a lot of activities, but I liked that. I wanted them to be in the activities. I wanted them to be able to do things that I couldn't do. So I didn't feel bad about it. Though today I say, how the frig did I do all that? And then if you have to change anything, what's the cost of changing it? Okay, that's it. I'm going to go. One more thing. The secret to maintaining a spacious schedule is saying no. So that kind of relates to, and I'm really not going to say anything else. That kind of relates to what I said is like here, I wanted my children to do those things. Did they want to do it? Yes, they did. But I think after a while, some of them didn't want to do some of the stuff. So it was weird. It's like, and then maybe I did complain sometimes when I took them to their activities. Oh my gosh, I got so much to do. But I kind of look back and I say, yeah, I enjoyed taking them, even though I was probably pulling my hair out sometimes or whatever. I wanted them to do that. I felt they needed to have these activities and whatever. So what does that have to do with time magic? Well, if the schedule, even if it's crazy and I got everything on there, and maybe I might feel some overwhelmed, so you might have to say no to some things. If it's bringing you joy, then it's a good thing, no matter how busy you are, right? If it's bringing you joy. They didn't really say that, but kind of. All right, that's it for chapters 1, 2, 3. I promise by next Tuesday, Book Talk Tuesday next week. Not sure if I'll share this. This was very long. I'll just probably, whatever. I might start putting this on YouTube. I meant to put it on last week. I don't know if I ever did. But anyway, I know that was a very long talk. I know that was a very long talk Tuesday. I will try to make them shorter, more condensed, more me taking notes and then bringing my notes to you instead of going through each chapter and trying to explain each chapter. So bear with me as I learn how to do this, and hope you listened and have a great day. Thanks for watching.